What if I told you that the most disciplined people are actually the weakest? That your 5 a.m. wake-ups and perfect streaks are exactly why you'll never have real power. The productivity gurus sold you a lie so convincing that you tattooed it onto your identity. They told you discipline equals strength, that consistency builds character, that routines create success. But here's what they didn't tell you, and what's about to shatter everything you believe about getting ahead in life. If this sounds impossible, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to discover will change how you see every successful person around you. See, there's a reason why billionaires break their own rules overnight, why the most powerful people abandon their sacred routines without a second thought, why those who truly dominate never post about their morning rituals or brag about their streaks. They know something about discipline that you don't, something that would make you question every habit you've built, every routine you worship, every streak you're proud of. They know that discipline, when used blindly, isn't a superpower. It's a leash. And the person holding that leash, it's not you. Drop a comment below if you've ever felt trapped by your own routines, because what I'm about to reveal will explain exactly why. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up at 5 a.m. because someone told you successful people do that. You force yourself through a cold shower because discipline demands discomfort. You journal, meditate, exercise, and drink your green smoothie in the exact same order every single day. You feel like a machine, like a winner, like you're finally doing something right with your life. But here's what you didn't notice while you were busy being so perfectly disciplined. You didn't think. You followed. Your entire morning was an act of obedience, not opportunity. And that's exactly how they want you. Predictable, trackable, controllable. But who is they, and why do they want you weak? The answer will shock you. Machiavelli wrote The Prince not to teach people how to be good rulers, but to expose how power really works. And if he were alive today, watching you grind through your morning routine, he'd laugh. Not because effort is wrong, but because you're putting all that effort into the wrong game entirely. You see, Machiavelli understood something that modern productivity culture deliberately hides from you. The difference between being strategic and being obedient, between building power and building habits, between controlling your environment and being controlled by your calendar. Subscribe if you want to learn the difference, because most people never will. Here's the brutal truth that's going to make you uncomfortable. Every disciplined person eventually becomes a slave to their own system. First you build a habit, then the habit becomes your identity, then your identity becomes your cage. I'm the guy who never misses a workout. I'm the person who always wakes up early. I'm someone who finishes what they start. It sounds noble, it feels powerful. But Machiavelli would look you dead in the eye and say exactly this. That makes you predictable. That makes you vulnerable. That makes you mine. Comment below if you recognize yourself in this trap, because recognizing it is the first step to escaping it. Because here's what happens when you become predictable. Your enemies don't need to fight you. They just need to wait. They know exactly when you'll wake up, what you'll do, how you'll react, where you'll be. They can map your entire existence on a calendar. And once someone can guess your next move, you've already lost the advantage. You're not playing chess anymore, you're following a script someone else wrote. But what about the people who seem to come out of nowhere? Who make moves that nobody sees coming? Who pivot instantly when circumstances change? Who break their own rules without hesitation? What makes them different? The answer is going to flip everything you think you know about success. They don't follow discipline, they weaponize it. They don't build routines, they build leverage. They don't pride themselves on consistency, they pride themselves on control. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in the real world. Because understanding this will separate you from 99% of the population who are trapped in their own good habits. If you're ready to break free from the discipline trap, smash that subscribe button and let's dive deeper. The first trap is what I call the morning routine prison. You've probably seen the posts, the 4 a.m. wake-ups, the ice baths, the journaling, the meditation, the perfect breakfast, all laid out like some kind of spiritual assembly line. But here's what nobody tells you about these routines. They weren't designed by the people posting them. They were copied from books, podcasts, and influencers who copied them from other books, podcasts, and influencers. You're not following your intuition. You're following a blueprint. And blueprints don't create rulers, they create workers. Drop a comment if you've ever felt like you were just going through the motions with your routine, because you're about to understand why. The truly dangerous mind doesn't wake up at 5 a.m. because gurus say to. It wakes up when it needs to. It sleeps when recovery serves the next strike. It moves fast when speed gives advantage. It slows down when silence brings power. This mind doesn't force itself to stay consistent. It adapts. It recalibrates. It breaks the routine the moment the routine becomes predictable. Why? Because predictability is how enemies find you. And discipline, when worn like a badge, becomes your biggest weakness because everyone knows exactly how you'll behave. But how do you know when your routine has become a prison? There are 3 warning signs that most people miss completely. First, you feel guilty about skipping it. Not disappointed, not motivated to get back on track. Guilty, like you've committed some kind of moral crime by sleeping in or taking a day off. That guilt? That's not discipline talking, that's programming. You've been conditioned to feel bad about flexibility, about listening to your body, about adapting to circumstances. Comment below if you've ever felt guilty about breaking your routine, because this programming runs deeper than you think. Second, you defend your routine to others. Someone suggests a different approach and you immediately explain why your way is better, why you have to do things in a certain order, why changing would ruin everything you've built. That defensiveness reveals the truth. You're not in control of your routine anymore. Your routine is in control of you. Third, you measure your self-worth by your consistency. Good days are days when you stick to the plan. Bad days are days when life gets in the way. Your entire emotional state depends on checking boxes on a list you didn't even create. If any of these hit home, hit that subscribe button because understanding the problem is only the beginning. But let's get tactical. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in 3 areas where discipline traps destroy more potential than any other force on earth. The first is the streak addiction. I haven't missed a day in 100 days. I've been doing this every single day for a year. Sound familiar? That's not power. That's pride in disguise. Machiavelli would call it emotional leverage against yourself. You've created a prison where breaking the streak feels like death, even if the streak no longer produces any real value. Tell me in the comments, what streak are you most proud of? Because I'm about to show you why it might be holding you back. The disciplined person says, I can't stop now. I've come too far. The strategic person says, if stopping now gives me an advantage, I will stop instantly. Because here's what streak addicts never realize. Every day spent inside a useless routine is a day your competitors are getting ahead. While you're protecting your precious streak, they're adapting, pivoting, finding new angles. Consistency is only power when it serves your goals, not your ego. The moment the system stops giving you real returns, you must abandon it without apology. But abandoning a streak feels like failure, doesn't it? That's exactly the trap they want you in. The second trap is what I call the finish what you started lie. Never quit, always see it through, persistence pays off. These sound like virtues, but they're actually chains. Machiavelli didn't finish bad plans. He replaced them. He didn't honor every commitment when a better opportunity appeared. He didn't persist for the sake of integrity. He moved for the sake of victory. Drop a comment if you've ever stuck with something way too long just because you started it. This might be the most expensive mistake you're making. This doesn't make you flaky. It makes you dangerous. Because while the disciplined person keeps pushing a broken cart uphill, you quietly change carts and pass them without effort. The world rewards those who complete the right things, not those who complete everything. But most people can't tell the difference because they've been taught that quitting is always weakness. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Strategic quitting is a superpower. Knowing when to cut your losses and redirect your energy is what separates leaders from followers. Subscribe if you want to learn how to quit strategically instead of grinding blindly. The third trap is the deepest one, the identity prison. This is where discipline becomes who you are instead of what you do. I'm a disciplined person. I'm someone who never gives up. I'm consistent. But what happens when consistency stops working? when the market changes, when life throws you a curveball that your rigid system can't handle? Comment below if you've ever felt loss when your routine got disrupted. Because this is where most disciplined people completely fall apart. The person whose identity is wrapped up in their habits becomes helpless the moment those habits stop working. They don't know who they are without their 5 a.m. wake up or their perfect meal prep or their daily workout. That's not strength. That's fragility disguised as dedication. The truly powerful person isn't defined by their habits. They're defined by their ability to burn those habits down when necessary. They're disciplined when the moment demands control. They're chaotic when chaos gives them the upper hand. But how do you break free from these traps without losing everything you've built? The answer lies in what Machiavelli called strategic flexibility. Instead of building habits that control you, you build systems that serve you. Instead of following routines religiously, you follow results ruthlessly. Instead of being proud of consistency, you become proud of adaptability. Here's what this looks like in practice. Every week you ask yourself 3 questions. First, is this routine still producing real results, or am I just going through the motions? Hit subscribe if you want to learn all 3 questions, because they'll save you years of wasted effort. Second, if I had to abandon this system tomorrow, could I build something better? Or am I too attached to the process to see better options? Third, am I doing this because it works, or because it's become comfortable? Because comfort is the enemy of growth, and growth is the enemy of comfort. The moment you can't answer these questions honestly, you know you've fallen into the discipline trap. Your habits own you instead of serving you. Which would you rather be? Comment below and let me know. The disciplined person follows the blueprint they were given. The strategic person writes their own blueprint and changes it whenever they want. The disciplined person is predictable, which makes them controllable. The strategic person is unpredictable, which makes them powerful. The disciplined person earns respect through consistency. The strategic person commands respect through results. Subscribe if you're tired of earning respect and ready to start commanding it. Now, I'm not saying discipline is evil. Structure has its place. Habits can be useful. But only when you're the one controlling them instead of them controlling you. The moment your routine becomes your religion, it becomes your prison. The moment your habits define your identity, they limit your possibilities. The moment consistency becomes more important than results, you've stopped growing, and growth is the only thing that separates the powerful from the powerless. Here's the test that reveals everything. If someone removed your routine, your schedule, your structure tomorrow, would you still move with precision? Or would you freeze? Would you panic? Would you become useless? Because if your power depends on routine, then your power isn't real. It's rented. And the moment life shakes that foundation, you'll collapse with it. Comment below with your honest answer to this question, because facing the truth is the first step to real power. The strategic mind builds its strength on something else entirely. Not consistency, not repetition, but readiness. It sharpens 2 things above everything else. First, awareness. It studies the room, the opponent, the rules. It knows exactly which rule to follow and which rule to break to shift the power balance. Second, detachment. From plans, from pride, from the need to be seen as disciplined. It has nothing to prove, only something to control. And that's why you'll never catch it stuck. Never see it forcing itself through something that no longer serves. Never hear it say, I have to do this because I've done it for 100 days. No, if it no longer creates advantage, it stops. It adapts. And that's why it wins while disciplined people are still explaining why they can't change course.
Subscribe if you want to learn how to build this kind of strategic detachment. So what should you do right now? You don't need to throw away all your habits, but you need to cut their leash from your identity. Start asking yourself every day, does this routine still bring results? Am I following this because it works or because it's comfortable? If I had to destroy this system today, could I rebuild something stronger tomorrow? If the answer to any of these is no, you're not free. You're not in control. You're just a disciplined servant in a world ruled by strategic masters. Tell me in the comments which of your routines you're most afraid to question, because that's probably the one trapping you the most.
Machiavelli's greatest warning wasn't about discipline itself. It was about those who mistake discipline for dominance, those who confuse following orders with taking control, those who think being predictable makes them powerful. His greatest insight? The person who rewrites the rules, not just for others but for themselves, is the only one who becomes truly unstoppable. And being unstoppable requires something that discipline actively prevents: the ability to change direction instantly. The disciplined person says, "I can't change now. I've invested too much." The strategic person says, "I must change now. The investment is no longer paying returns." The disciplined person is trapped by their past decisions. The strategic person is freed by their willingness to make new ones. Subscribe and comment if you're ready to stop being trapped by your past and start being freed by your future. Here's what this looks like in real life. You're 2 months into a business that's clearly not working. The disciplined person keeps pushing because winners never quit. The strategic person kills it and starts something better because winners don't waste time on losing games. You're in a routine that used to energize you but now drains you. The disciplined person forces themselves through it because consistency is key. The strategic person changes it because energy is more valuable than streaks. Comment below if you've ever forced yourself through something that was clearly no longer serving you. This programming runs deep. You have an opportunity that would require breaking your sacred morning routine. The disciplined person passes because "I never skip my routine." The strategic person takes it because opportunities matter more than schedules. In every case, the disciplined person chooses the process over the outcome. The strategic person chooses the outcome over the process. And outcomes are what create power. Processes are just tools to get there. But here's the hardest part about breaking free from discipline culture. Everyone around you will try to pull you back in. They'll call you inconsistent, unreliable, undisciplined. Let them. Because while they're busy judging your flexibility, you'll be busy getting results they can't explain. Subscribe if you're ready to be misunderstood by the masses and understood by the few who actually matter. The world respects the disciplined person, but it fears the strategic one. Because while the disciplined person is busy perfecting their routine, the strategic person is perfecting their leverage. And leverage, not effort, is what moves mountains. So stop being proud of how consistent you've been. Start being dangerous in how fast you can shift, reset, adapt, and win. That's not discipline, that's power. And if they ask how you did it, don't explain. Don't teach, don't motivate. Just smile. And move before they can predict your next step. Because when they're still measuring discipline, you'll be measuring control. And you'll already be gone. Hit that subscribe button if this video opened your eyes to the discipline trap. Comment below with the biggest routine you're ready to question. And remember, the most powerful move you can make is the one nobody sees coming. Until next time, stay unpredictable.